So going into day 2 Saturday, who was your first match? Who's game 4?
Game 4 was Christopher Johnson, the Thousand Suns player, not the Nets player. There's two Chris
Oh,
Johnsons in our environment. Oh,
interesting.
where did you end on day 1? What, 2-1?
1 and 2. One
One
win,
and two.
2
Okay,
losses.
so we were in the same place starting day 2. So
Oh, and to that point, my result with my game against Thomas was 88 to Tao, 33 for me. I just got obliterated.
yeah, that's rough. Those are definitely those feels bad games, but it's a learning experience
Yes,
more
100%.
than anything. So my game 3, we're playing mission 23. Oh, we marked the wrong one. We picked the incursion mission, Surge of Faith. It's not that mission.
This should
That
be the
probably
scouring.
should
The
be
scouring. Game
Yes,
4.
yes,
Yeah.
it's the scouring. Yeah. So Grey Knights into Thousand Suns. It's a tale as old as time. Grey Knights have an 80% win rate in this matchup. So going into it, I have a pretty comfortable with Thousand Suns because Mike played Thousand Suns for so long, and
Mhm.
he was actually the only other time I played Thousand Suns was against Mike for a wooden spoon, believe it or not, at one of the RTTs. Both of us just tanked every game at one of the RTTs, and we got matched up last round. And I'm like, this isn't fair. I can't get wooden spoon if I go versus Thousand Suns.
uh,
But yeah, he brought a pretty standard Cult of Duplicity army.
mm,
I don't know how familiar you are with Thousand Suns.
not very.
So they're like Grey Knights, but offensive casters instead of defensive casters.
Hmm.
He had Armin, who's like the cool caster guy. He gets like 3 casts a turn. It's kind of gross. I wish I had him in my army. An Exalted Sorcerer, so he's a dude flying around on a disc. An Infernal Master, who's like the Chaos Chaplain, right? The Infernal Master.
I think
3
so.
Rubric squads. Or sorry, 4 Rubric squads. One of them had a bunch of Flamers in it. 2 Zangers squads, which he used for screening the backfield, and some object bodies, some cheap object bodies. And then 2 10-man Terminator blobs and a
Woo!
Zanger Shaman. I don't know what the Zanger Shaman does because I just killed him. I have no idea what that guy does still. But the Scarab Occult Terminators, they're difficult to shift.
Yeah, I do know that.
Lawless Dust plus Armor of Contempt is very, very good.
Mhm.
And versus Grey Knights, in shooting, it's amazing. In melee, it's awful because I have 2 damage melee weapons across the whole army. So this game I actually went second. He deployed pretty conservatively, and he gets some redeploys with what's his name with Thousand Suns. I put my Storm Raven on the field. I know that Thousand Suns have pretty limited range. They've got like 24-inch range on most of their guns, except the Soul Reaper cannons, which are 36-inch range. And if he wants to shoot those at a Storm Raven, sure, he's not going to damage it enough for it to matter. So I left him out this time. So turn 1, he does his thing. He shifts a bunch of stuff right on the middle. He moves Zangers up into a building. It was a 2-story building. He put the Zangers on the inside. There was no windows on the first floor.
Mhm.
He teleported a squad of Terminators on top of the building. So he's got Zangers and Terminators just holding down the middle objective. And I'm like, this is going to be very, very difficult to shift. Like, I'm not sure how I'm going to shift these guys off of here. Especially because Denies and Psychic, you're not familiar with the Psychic phase, Chuck, but either your Psychic phase goes really well or it goes very poorly. There's no in between. There's never a medium Psychic phase. So he deploys up. He doesn't really have a shot on a lot. He takes out 4 out of 5 Interceptors in 1 squad, which actually came into play later. That helped me out because he did that. He has a middle objective, so he's on 3. He's doing his actions. He took like burn empires, which you basically, it's like the Ultramarine one. You pick a bunch of objectives, and then on the next command phase they get burned, and you score a bunch of points for it. So he was burning a couple objectives. This was the scouring, so he was also doing like the strategic scan
Right.
on a couple of the objectives, or on one. On turn 1, I'm like, man, this is a huge turn 1. I need to like be able to punch this hard to stop him. So this game, I actually put nothing in Deep Strike. because I need the denies for his
Right.
cast. I need as many denies as possible everywhere as possible, because stopping Thousand Suns casting means I'm removing +1 to hit. I'm removing -1 to hits versus them. I'm removing extra range on the guns.
Psychic actions.
I'm stopping psychic actions. I'm stopping doom bolts and smites and all that stuff to help prevent some damage. So I just had to start everyone out. So turn one, I shove like as much stuff as I can up into a middle building where he has no line of sight to prep for my turn two, because I just couldn't stop him on turn one. There's nothing I could do. However, he did this thing with Armin where he cast with him, and then for like a CP or something, he could move him again, or maybe it was Sorcerer's Facade, which was him teleport. I can't remember which one it was, but he moved Armin like back behind his lines, but he forgot my Storm Raven existed. So on my turn one, this was the only thing that happened on turn one for me. I took my Storm Raven, I put him 1 inch away from Armin, and I was like, okay, I can shoot Armin now. I blast everything at him. I needed every single point of damage because he kept making his invuln save. And with the very last Storm Strike missile, I got him. I killed Armin. And I was like, turn one, cool. Armin is down. I don't have to worry about that guy anymore. Even if I lose my Storm Raven, this was a victory for me because I'm scoring points for Assassinate, and that's that. Turn two, he takes out a couple things, but I did a good job of hiding stuff. Plus Armor of Contempt and Tide of Shadows. They don't have the AP with their guns to really chew through stuff, even with the massive volume of fire. Normally, I'm afraid of Thousand Suns, like bolters, because they're the Infernal Bolters, -2, 1 damage, which is a great profile.
Yeah.
And Soul Reaper cannons, they're -3, 1 damage each, so it's just like AP out the ass. Whereas they're just regular guns. But with Tide of Shadows and Armor of Contempt, none of that mattered. I just kept making all my saves.
Yeah.
Turn two, I brought everything up. I psychicked. I think I killed 6 Terminators in the psychic phase on that.
Oh my gosh.
Because I couldn't see a Zanger, so all my psychic ended up hitting the guys up top. I kept smiting them. My Librarian popped off. He did 14 mortal wounds in 1 turn. And he just failed his denies. He popped a CP to deny on 3 dice, and it's not drop the lowest. It's just deny on 3 dice.
Damn.
And he still failed it.
Ouch.
And that I think that's the big thing, was I was able to take out 7 Terminators on 1 turn. The following turn, I was able to come in, charge, take the middle. Both my Dread Knights were positioned in a way where they were going to charge his other Terminators, which were sitting up in a building. And then my lone Interceptor, he hopped over the wall and charged first. So if he wanted to Overwatch, he had to Overwatch a single dude. So I used that to get my Grandmaster in, and it was Tide of Convergence at this point. My Grandmaster popped off. I Empiric amped him, which is +1 damage on my Nemesis Force weapons. And I was in Tide of Convergence. I think I picked up 5 Terminators in one melee phase with my Grandmaster.
That is good.
It was crazy.
That's nasty.
Yeah. And now I'm not scared of Terminators. So what I did with Zeke, where I didn't touch them, I need to do the opposite of that next time. I need to throw my big guys at him.
I mean, the problem though with Zeke's list is he has the guy that can resurrect, right? And I'm sure that Thousand Suns can they do the same thing as Black Legion and all the others?
So yeah, they can. The problem with that was he took Psychic Interrogation, so he'd have to trade
one for the other.
I guess that's not true. You can, like, for whatever reason, their casters just innately get the ability to do a psychic action and a cast at the same time.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But I'm Grey Knight, so like denying that is not difficult.
Well, that's the thing, right?
No way to stop him from denying it.
That the ability to bring a model back and heal is really potent.
It's broken. It's broken. Do you know what that cost for me as a Grey Knights player? It cost me 1 CP a turn to do that.
It would cost me infinite because I don't have that ability. There ain't no one coming back. If a 10,000 dies, he dead. That's all there is to it. There ain't no apothecaries in the 10,000. Like, yeah, he lived long enough.
If they die and come back, they come back as a servitor.
Yeah.
Start from the bottom.
Ooh. Oh man. So what was the end result of the game?
Yeah, so this game, it was pretty rough. I had a lot of stuff go right. It ended up 94 to 52.
Oof.
Grey Knights. But Chris and I had a really good talk after the game, talking about kind of the things, some of the psychic things that could have been different, or some of the choices in his secondaries. He ended up taking engage on all fronts, which is really rough. Grey Knights, they don't let that happen because we're
You're
so
too
fast.
fast. Yeah, you're way too fast.
It's super rough to do that one.
Your
He
foot
also
guys are
took
faster than me.
Yeah. He took the Thousand Sun secondary sorceress prowess, which is you score points for killing a unit with psychic, and he took that versus Grey Knights, and I was like, look, man, I know this is normally a pretty good one, but versus Grey Knights, this is probably the worst possible secondary you can take.
Right.
So we had a lot of constructive talk about what he can do, some things with his list he can improve, which actually came into play later because I played Thousand Suns again at the end of the day. But we'll get to that. But yeah, it was a good game. We had a lot of constructive commentary about things that both of us can do to improve. It was just a good experience overall.
So you played against 2,000 Suns
On day 2, yes.
and there were only 2,000 Suns in the tournament.
Correct. Statistically, I should win both of those games. Did I win both those games, Chuck?
We'll see. Spoiler alert. Oh, that's interesting.
What was your day 2 game 1 like?
Okay, so day 2 game number 1 was against Space Wolves. My opponent was named Jeff Meyer, super nice guy.
Okay.
And I don't have a great track record against Space Wolves, as you can imagine, because I generally play Scott Rumpel and his Space Wolves when I play against Space Wolves.
You mean the #1 Space Wolves player in the world, Scott Rumpel?
Yeah, that man. He is. So we have this running joke because there's a painter. He lives overseas somewhere. I'm not exactly sure where. And his handle is Rumpelmaster. And if you don't know who he is, go check out his Instagram. Ridiculous painter. I mean, like ridiculously good. I thought he went to some tournament and he was going for like best painted. I was like, this dude is a shoe-in. There is no one, very few painters that I could think of other than like the pros that are out there that could even hold a candle to this guy. And he didn't win. And I was like, I give up. Never painting again. If this guy can't win, no one can win. Like, there's no way. But anyways, we joke all the time that Scott, because, Rumpel and Rumpelmaster, is what it is. But anyways, so Jeff and I played the Scouring. The problem is I made sure that this was the little nugget, the seed that was planted that catapulted my knowledge into the next game. So I made sure that I was much more cognizant of what I was doing with terrain deployment, because normally I'm just kind of like, I just kind of look for ways to like hide myself on objective markers so I don't get shot. But this time I was like, I can't close with Wolfen. Like Wolfen, and they haunt my dreams. Scott's Wolfen just haunt my dreams constantly. So I was like, there's no way I'm putting anything up near the line. I'm pulling everything, because that center objective is there. I'm pulling everything back so that there's this huge open spot. I did the Tau deployment as custodes for this map. And
as everyone knows, custodes is a very shooty army.
They can be. Like, you could take a whole, like a very CC centric army, but I find that they do well in both phases. They got great shooting, they got good close combat. And so you can play it that way. And that's where my list shines. I got a lot of good shooting because of Sagittarium, the Caladius tank, the Dreadnoughts can do some wounds. Like, everyone's got some decent shooting, and then they can all slap up close, right? So they do well, other than Caladius, of course. And so I went first, and unfortunately for Jeff, it was kind of like think of like, I basically deployed my shooty units on the outside edges, and there was just like this kill zone that ran right through the middle of the board. And he deployed as best he could to try to hide. But because I went first, I picked up a unit of Wolfen right out the gate. They didn't even move. They just died. The Caladius just did what Caladius things do. And I did some plink damage here and there just to try to take, because he had a bunch of Vanguard vets just like Scott's list. So I just shot at him just to see if I could kill anyone. Jeff's dice were atrocious. his dice were on my, like, they were the Emperor's dice for the custodes for sure, because like he just couldn't make saves. He couldn't do it. No, I mean, like, just no, like, even with my Sagittarum, I picked up, I think, 3 of 5 Vanguard vets, even with Armor of Contempt. He was just, I mean, it's a 3-up save, and like he couldn't roll 3s. And so I was able to do some stuff. I moved up into the center objective with my sword and board, and then I had 2 dreadnoughts on the flanks of them, just baiting his Blade Guard to come in. And then he had his warlord on the Thunderwolf or whatever, and he can advance and charge. And I was like, he can go wherever, pretty much almost wherever he wants, and he's gonna get where he wants. But I was like, I'm gonna tanglefoot somebody. Someone's getting tanglefooted, and I'm hoping that he draws his Blade Guard and his captain toward me, because like his captain would make it there, and then he would get gobbled up by the dreadnoughts, right? But it didn't work that way. He shifted and went all the other way. He had a drop pod with 2 devs in it, multi-meltas in one and grav cannons in the other, and I was like, ooh, this isn't good. But I screened him out of my backfield, so I wasn't going to let the pod drop back there, and he had to deploy it in front of me, and I kept my bikes way back, and this is what one of the nuggets that I learned. I'm way too aggressive with my bikes. Way too aggressive. I just started thinking about it, and it's like, unless I'm playing emissaries and I know I'm going first and I'm spending those 3 CP to launch that bike squad up for a free move, and I'm going to be on top of them that I could potentially cripple them in turn 1, I just kept my bikes back behind line of sight, but moved them up as far as they could go. Just wait. Because their threat range is so big and they can hit so hard that it just threw people through a loop. And instead of me just throwing them forward and being like, YOLO on him, like, which is my MO, because I'm a YOLO kind of player, it allowed me to take, I think I took 1 wound from the grav cannons on my bikes, and the multi-meltas were too far away, they couldn't reach me. So the multi-meltas annihilated a dreadnought, as they're going to do. They're going to come down and kill something. Something's dead. But I lost 2 dreads in his second turn of shooting, which was terrible. But I was able to basically hold the center and my 2 flanks, and then just systematically annihilate them down one side. And again, the dice were not in his favor at all. Like, it just was one of those games where they just were cold all game. Like, nothing went well. He failed so many leadership morale tests. Failed those. Just couldn't save. I mean, it was bad. It was just bad. A great opponent. Had a fun game. It was unfortunate that it just turned out that way. Yeah, both his Wolfen units died before they ever got into close combat.
That's brutal. That's just bullying, Chuck.
It was, I'm telling you, like, that was the moment where I was like, I started really thinking about my terrain placement. And it wasn't even like, I was just like, I know I need to place it in a way where there's a lot of open spots. Because I know the Wolfen can move fast. I know they can advance and charge. And it's just like, I got to be careful about where I place stuff. And it was, the Emperor was in the Custodes' favor in that game.
Yeah. I had a game similar to that, but that's my round of 9. So we'll
yeah.
that one later.
So that one ended. I took grind banners, and I'm pretty sure I took stand vigil. I think. It's a little fuzzy there. But the end result was 83-34.
Yeah. So it's still a good experience though, right?
Yeah, it was fun. Jeff was a great opponent. Very nice guy. It was a good time.
Awesome. So what are we on, game 5 now?
Game 5.
Okay, my game 5 was against Tom Cohen. He's one of the Denver guys. Very good, very, very good player. He had me red before I even deployed. I lost the game before it even started because he already knew everything to expect. He played House Raven, which is the advance and shoot, and for like a CP.
No penalty. Yeah.
He had, let's see, 3 Helverins, which are the shooty ones with the autocannons, the -2 3 damage autocannons. 2 Warglaves. Actually 4 Warglaves, sorry. 2 of them with melted guns and 2 of them with the heavy stubbers, and then 2 Knight Errants. And I don't really know all the things that Knights can do. I just know that he had like 5 bondsman buffs going out. And bondsman buffs make them -1 damage when it's on them. I guess I don't know. I don't know all the rules. I just know that I couldn't kill him. So I took bring it down because that's knights. You're supposed to take that versus them. I took retrieve Nachman data, and I took psychic interrogation for my secondaries.
Mhm.
I forgot I had psychic interrogation on turn 1, so I didn't score it, which is rough because he has no denies. It's just 3 free points.
Yeah.
Nachman data, I ended up maxing that out somehow, and then what was the third one? Did I say Engadget Friends? Because I did not take that. I can't remember what my third one was.
But Saturday was your bucket beer day.
Yes. So here's some more context for Saturday. Chuck had to leave early Saturday, so he couldn't get smashed. So I had to carry the torch for Barely Battle Ready to make sure there was one drunk member at the event. Yeah, I think I had 3 buckets of beer by myself that day, and then that one cocktail Mario gave you. Right
that old fashioned.
So yeah, this was the game that I was coming in. I was smashed for this game.
Oh no.
That didn't help. I still had a great time. But yeah, I made some really stupid mistakes. The way I deployed terrain, it's like you were just saying, you deployed it too far, like deploying it too far back or whatever. I put all my terrain pretty much as far away from him as possible, which left a no man's land in the center. And that killed me.
Yeah.
That killed me. I had no way to approach safely.
Yeah.
To get, in any kind of position. I put my librarian out in the middle of the board with no lookout sir on turn 1. Don't ask me why. I don't know why I did it.
Dang.
Although he did survive like 2 full Helverins of shooting because of armor of Courier of Sacrifice and the Feel No Pain from it.
Yeah, he's AP 0 then, right?
Yeah, he's AP 0. I'm on 2 ups. Still failed saves. I was failing saves left and right. I dropped four Terminators on turn 1 at 0 up saves.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was brutal. I was like, wow, where are these ones coming from? Okay, I guess that's not good. Yeah, he just had me read like a book. I could do nothing. My Storm Raven came in and from strategic reserves. He dealt 3 wounds with a full volley of fire on a Helverin. He just made all the 4-up saves because he rotated Ion Shields. My Grandmaster, I had no idea what I was doing with him the whole game, and that bit me. He ended up just doing nothing. He was in the back corner.
Oh no!
Did nothing all game. It was brutal. I deserved that loss because I was drunk. However, I still kept it within 15 points somehow.
Damn.
Yeah, I ended up scoring 81 to his 94 or something.
Wow, that's a high point loss.
Let me check. Yeah, 81 to 99. 81 to 99. So it was an 18-point game.
Damn, that's crazy.
But yeah, I couldn't stop him. I couldn't kill anything in the middle. He just pushed all his Warglaives and his 2 big knights in the middle, and I'm just like, I can't kill this. I don't have the damage at this point.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I learned a lot though. Knights have always been a bane of my existence. This was my best game against Knights so far. But yeah, my Vindicare, he didn't do much versus Knights, as you can imagine.
Yeah, wounded on 5s.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's rough. That's where he's just not very great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I played in a previous RTT, my Vindicare dealt 14 wounds to one of Thomas Knight's big knights.
What? You like 6 to wound, roll a 6, and then headshot. Yeah, that's awesome.
I did it 2 turns in a row.
Whoa, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so my game 5, I really don't remember a lot of it, so I'll turn it over to you, Chuck. How was your game 5? What do you remember?
Oh, my game 5 was very clear. So this was the second game, and as Drake mentioned, I had to drop game 6, so I didn't actually play game 6 on day 2. I had some family stuff I had to attend to. But I ended up playing one of Drake's teammates, Mr. Mike Tonal, my buddy. I love Mike. Great guy, super fun to play, and he was playing Sisters, which was very interesting to me because even though I have a teammate who's a very, very, very experienced and a very, 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 very good Sisters player, I haven't played him in years, weirdly enough. I played him at like Bay Area Open. We traveled to California and we ended up playing each other. That was the last time I'm pretty sure I played Jordan. But anyways, I haven't played into the new Sisters. So I didn't know really what to expect. I know what Jordan's list does because we talk about it all the time in our team chat kind of stuff. But I never really practiced against it. I just know that I hate Repentia for a couple reasons. They slap and they're stupid cheap. Like they're ridiculously cheap. So Mike had, he was taking Bloody Rose, Repentia Superior was, that one doesn't take any Force Org slots. But then he had a Canoness, he had Stern and, Yep, Kai Ganel. He had some Battle Sister squads. He had some Sacrosants, Digmata, Paragon suits, 3 units of Repentia, 3 units of Zephyrum, 2 Retributor squads, one with, or both with Melta, all with Melta, and a Rhino. And then also Vol is in there as well. And this is the game where the light bulb turned on. So we rolled for attacker defender. I picked defender, and we had those L-shaped terrain pieces that are 3 stories, right? Yeah, ground floor, first floor.
Style?
Yeah. So they're like these little L-shaped. They're frontline gaming terrain pieces, and this was what mission was this? This was conversion. So this is the one that has the 9-inch or 18-inch circle in the middle. It's in no man's land. It's got 5 objective markers. One's in the center. So the first thing I did, I threw that L shape all the way up as far as I could on that center objective, just outside that 40 mil base size that's in the center that you can't put terrain on, and it left this little tiny lip poking out my side of the terrain feature. So and I'm pretty sure. Oh yeah, I went first. I know I went first. I moved my sword and board up and I towed in on it without touching the terrain, so he couldn't shoot at me. And I had placed another ruin next to it, like literally. It was only had to be 4 inches away because it was a big piece and a quote unquote smaller piece. And the way it was set up, he castled in another L shape, kind of on the other side of the 9-inch or 18-inch circle, and he castled up a bunch of stuff there. But he had to come out if he wanted to try to contest that center objective, and I didn't have to do anything. My bikes were just chilling, just waiting. And the other objective on my flank on the right-hand side of the board was towed in, or it was partially in the ruin, the big ruin, but mostly on the outside. So it was blocking. Most of his stuff couldn't even see it unless they touched the building. And again, they got to come out into the middle. And my Caladius was just waiting on the far flank for anything that popped out. Because I went first, my Sagittarian moved up and negated a unit of Repentia before they even moved. My Caladius picked up another unit of Repentia other than one. Weirdly enough, he saved enough. There was one Repentia left. And what was weird is later in the game, that made a huge difference because he would have had another miracle die that he didn't have because I didn't pick up that one Repentia. And it potentially made a difference. But literally, the deployment of the terrain won me the game. If it was reversed, it would have been flip-flop the other way. I would have had to press him, and he would have been able to use all his multi-melta against me. His multi-melta killed my shield captain because I placed him poorly, but that's about all they did. They just weren't in a position where they could expose themselves and not take return fire and just get obliterated. So it was just a matter of being able to place that terrain piece down that won me the game, which was mind-blowing to me because I never realized it and really paid attention to it. I never pay attention to the window facings, all that stuff. I just didn't. And then at this game, I was like, holy shit, like, why haven't I been? Like, that move in itself was completely game-changing. And I felt bad for Mike because it was not a great game. It ended up being 97-35. But it was a great learning experience for me. Like,
Absolutely.
It taught me so much.
Yeah, terrain placement is one of those, like, I think it's like a metagame strategy
Mm-hmm.
because if you're not familiar with it, in tournaments you get player plays terrain. There are 2 sets on the table. If you win the attacker defender role, you get to choose which set you want to use,
Yep.
and you get to place the first piece down.
Yep.
So there's a lot of ways you can kind of manipulate the battlefield
Yeah.
to your advantage. And my round set, my round 9, I was egregious with it. We'll talk about that. I was egregious with it, and I felt really bad, but we still had a fun time.
All right. Tell me about Game 6.
All right, game 6. Let's paint the scene. Chuck's gone. Drake's drunk. I get matched into Thousand Suns again. And, I'm drunk. I'm confident. I'm like, easy game, right? Thousand Suns, Grey Knights. I don't even have to try. I can close my eyes and play this matchup. That was a giant mistake. I played versus a guy named Nico. He came from California. He was on the Xenos Petting Zoo team. They had like those sick yellow or white, purple, and green jerseys.
Yeah.
Super cool guy, super friendly player. But man, I was not ready for this. Also, I did a lot of very dumb things. So, first things first. What mission was this? This was
This would have been abandoned
sanctuaries.
sanctuaries. Yeah, sanctuaries.
Yeah. So no pre-deploy, no infiltration, no redeploys. My army doesn't care about any of that, so that's fine. I took Nakban data or Nephilim data. It's not Nakban data anymore. I took. I don't remember my secondaries, and they're not listed in here for some reason.
That's them buckets of beer coming back to get
That's
you.
the buckets of beer. Yeah, I know. Game 6, I was like, oof. I made a lot of mistakes. So his list, he was playing Thousand Suns, kind of similar to the previous list, but instead of Zangers, trade out all the Zangers for Chaos Spawn. He had a 5-man squad of Chaos Spawn and a 1-man squad of Chaos Spawn. So I got first turn. I put my Storm Raven out. I put 2 squads in it like I normally do. And then I made the stupidest mistake you could ever make with a Storm Raven that has things in it. I took it, I put it on top of a building next to his entire army. Now, this is normally fine if you don't put things in it, but because I put things in it, it was a big punish.
Big no.
Turn 1, I move that guy up. I shoot my entire Storm Raven payload at some Thousand Suns on the side of the board. I'm trying to just clear off one side. So if he wants to come push me, then he's got to bring one of his Terminator squads over here or commit something to that side of the board and deal with it. So that's all fine. My movement, I was actually very aggressive this game. I was feeling it. I was hot. I shouldn't feel that way playing 40k, not on turn 1.
YOLO.
Long story short, Storm Raven dies. The 2 squads come out. Those 2 squads die on turn 1. I just gave up 500 points of models for 4 Rubric Marines.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's brutal.
His Chaos Spawn land like a 9-inch charge on me, kills a whole squad of Interceptors. By that point in the game, I was like, I can't come back from this. So I was just scraping together, and he kept denying me. I got like 3 casts off that whole game.
Dang.
It was brutal. It was a brutal game. It was over before it even began.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's all I remember from it. I do remember he was a great player. So he definitely deserved the win with how I played. But yeah, it was brutal. It was brutal. And that was how I ended game 2, and I was pretty demoralized after that. I was like, because at that point, that's when they picked the top 8, right? Going to their things.
Yeah.
I knew I wasn't making top 8, but man, ending day 2 on 2 and 4 goes into a little bit of what we're talking about later. But man, I was beating myself up hard.
Yeah.
I was beating myself up hard.
It gives you a good appreciation of the game where you realize that a single decision can make or break your game. Just one.
Yes.
And it could be something that feels very, not important. It a simple, like, just a movement, right? I mean, my game with Zach against his orcs, I moved my dreadnought just a little bit too far forward where his mech guns could draw a line of sight without the -1, which would have made all the difference potentially. And I think that's what cost me the game. He collapsed the flank that I was pushing, and I couldn't do anything about it.
Yep. Although I will say, my Vindicare did get a kill. It was his first kill of the tournament. Was that game?
Damn, game 6.
He killed a. He's a good character, okay? It's the mind games. It's not about him killing things. It's just the mind games. He killed a Chaos Sorcerer in a single round of shooting. It was fantastic.
That's delightful.
And the whole time Nico was cheering me on. He's like, "Come on, Vindicare!" Because the game was well decided already at that point. But yeah, it was a good time. It was a good time.
That's awesome.
Great player.
That's
Great
awesome.
player. I would love to get a rematch in versus him sometime.
Very cool.
Yeah, that was game 6. So since you didn't have a game 6,
Mm-hmm.
I guess we'll just go to your game 7.